Francesco Pecco Bagnaia's highly erratic form this MotoGP season has caused serious concern and confusion within the factory Ducati team. As a two-time world champion, expectations on Bagnaia are sky-high, but he has struggled to find a consistent rhythm, particularly in the face of the brutal dominance of his new teammate, Marc Marquez. Ducati Course Racing Director Gigi Dall'Igna is now focused intensely on analyzing the GP25 machine from a technical standpoint, trying to identify the root cause of their star riders' drastic fluctuations. This conundrum has become even more pressing as Marquez easily clinched the world title 5 races from the season's end, setting an impressive points record that further highlights the performance gap between the two riders. This season belonged entirely to Marc Marquez, who secured his 7th Premier Class world title, a remarkable achievement even though he missed the final 8 races due to injury. Marquez's convincing victory demonstrated his rapid and effective adaptation to the Ducati, a stark contrast to Bagnaia's struggles. While Marquez enjoyed a dominant season, Ducati Lenovo rider Pecco Bagnaia faced a far more challenging situation. Until the Japanese Grand Prix, the 17th race of the season, the two-time world champion had barely put up any real resistance to Marquez, who was already well ahead in the championship point standings. A small glimmer of hope emerged for Bagnaia at Motegi, Japan, where he finally managed to put in a slightly better performance than Marquez. However, this small victory must be seen in the context of Marquez's strategy, which clearly involved taking far fewer risks than usual. With the world title already in the bag, the Spaniard's primary focus was on finishing the race safely and prioritizing the title celebrations over chasing victory that day. Despite this, the results sparked optimism, even among team manager Davide Tarduzzi, who believed Pecco had rediscovered his form and was ready to compete at the front again, a hope that was quickly dashed in the following race. The confidence that emerged after Motegi quickly turned to disaster when Bagnaia arrived in Indonesia. At Mandalika, he suffered one of the worst defeats of his career, a moment that shattered his mentality and confidence. In that race, Bagnaia couldn't even keep up with the riders trailing him, including Samkiat Chantra, and ultimately crashed in last place, a painful end. This incident, which occurred just days after Tarduzzi expressed his confidence, demonstrated how fragile Bagnaia's confidence and bike setup were at that time. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later in Australia, a similar scenario was repeated, with a sprint defeat, penultimate, followed by a crash in the Grand Prix when he finished only 12th. However, like a roller coaster of emotions and performances, the weekend in Malaysia brought back a glimmer of hope. In Sepang, the 28-year-old won the sprint race with a brilliant performance, showcasing his missing speed and sharpness. He also nearly finished on the podium in the long race, a potentially strong result that was unfortunately thwarted by a punctured tire. This extreme performance fluctuation, from a crash in last place to a dominant sprint victory, was at the heart of the mystery facing the Ducati team, prompting them to seek a deeper technical explanation for the GP25's engine characteristics. The main theory developed by Ducati to explain Bagnaia's significant performance fluctuations concerned the GP25 setup window. They concluded that the setup range within which the GP25 could function optimally was much smaller and narrower than that of its predecessor, the GP24. Ducati's entire technical staff had devoted months of effort to designing a solution specifically for Bagnaia in an attempt to address his setup and sensitivity issues. However, due to the limitations of rigorous testing, designing and testing something tailored and revolutionary for him was a major challenge. Ducati Course General Manager Gigi Dall'Igna explained the team's initial philosophy. At the start of the season, he admitted that he saw no reason to take significant risks in major engine changes due to Ducati's existing technical superiority and the quality of its riders. The initial strategy was to stick with proven solutions, avoiding potential reliability issues or changes that might work on one track but fail on another. Dall'Igna emphasized that initially, the two bikes, the upgraded GP25 and the base version, were very similar. However, as the season progressed, they began refining the GP25, introducing new components such as the fairing and giving riders other options, including the frame. After a few Grands Prix, it was realized that the new machine did offer improved performance. Dall'Igna also highlighted the important role of Marc Marquez's presence on the team, which indirectly brought a new path and a different perspective on bike setup. This fresh perspective helped the technical team better understand the bike's overall performance and potential, although it didn't necessarily solve Bagnaia's more restrictive setup issues. With just 2 races remaining, at Portimao and Valencia, it's impossible to predict Pecco Bagnaia's performance. His fate over the final 2 weekends is being described as a major gamble. If Ducati's technical team manages to find the right setup and Bagnaia can regain his feeling for the bike, the 31-time MotoGP winner will surely be back at the front and competing for victory.